You came out with this wonderful new book called Destiny's Call, biblical fiction about the stories of the book of Genesis. Why did you choose to write biblical fiction?
I think it fills a void in storytelling based on the Bible, based on Chumash, that is lacking. There is biblical fiction out there, however, from sources that are often anti-biblical in a way, are not necessarily reverent of the text or our traditions. This is biblical fiction based on Jewish, rabbinic, and midrashic traditions. Some of the stories may appear quite realistic, but it is a fictionalization based on the Bible, but it does include the sources, the textual sources, whether from the Bible itself or secondary sources from the Medrash, from the Gemara, that the stories were based on. However, it is a work of fiction.
Do you have to know the Bible in order to read this book?
No. You may appreciate it more. You may enjoy seeing how someone has taken a text you're familiar with and developed a story based on that, but you do not need any familiarity with the Bible.
Do you think that reading this book might encourage people to find out a little bit more about the Bible?
That is my sincere hope, that after reading the book, it'll make people who are less familiar with the Bible say, I want to find out more about Abraham or Jacob or Joseph, and explore the stories further and the text further and the various sources.
How did Tolkien and Lord of the Rings influence you to write this book?
Tolkien, in Lord of the Rings, created a world with a very rich history, background, detail, that made it come alive. And I felt such storytelling has been lacking for the Bible. The Torah, Tanakh, was not necessarily written, in my opinion, as a story, as something that necessarily captivates modern audiences that have, shorter attention spans and that are more enamored of Harry Potter and Percy Jackson. So the inspiration was to try to emulate those styles, those tools, that media, but using our sources, our history, our texts, and to bring them to an audience that wouldn't necessarily have access or exposure to it. Get it out there to reacquaint the public with our history, a fictionalized version of it, but with characters from our past,
and make it real to them.
Bezrat Hashem.
And now that you've written the stories of Genesis, do you have further plans to continue telling more biblical stories?
Yes. I hope in the very near future to come out with Exodus, with Shmot, and over the course of the year, the rest of the books of Moses, Vaikra, Bamidbar, Dvarim. I've completed writing a draft of a novel based on the book of Joshua.
Is that closer to a Tolkien kind of book?
It is. As opposed to what I've done for Chumash, which is short stories, this is a much longer novel, much more adventure and fighting and swordplay and evil enemies trying to destroy the hero. So there's a much stronger Tolkien fantasy, even some magic thrown in, will appeal to the Harry Potter audience.